Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video, we're going to be making our Slumber Essence priority tier list updated. We just made exclusive equipment tier list yesterday, but Slumber Essence, of course, is another matter which needs a dedicated video. And this is what I believe currently is what the priority is going to be looking like. So we're going to lead it off with the high priority. So the high priority are going to be not only damage dealers, but the top tier meta PvP damage dealers currently in the game. These are the heroes which are going to be the highest priority for you to be upgrading with your Slumber Essence, because you're going to get the most return, because it's going to power up their comps even more, and they're already the top tier damage dealers. So number one is Freerin, and if you have Freerin built, if you have her Paragon upgraded, you want to enhance her exclusive equipment as high as you can, ideally getting all the way up to that Paragon 4 level. She is the top meta PvP damage dealer in the game right now, and she's going to get the most value from this upgrade, because just to explain it again, Slumber Essence is best used on your damage dealers because it provides damage boost, as well as it can provide offensive stats when you get to level 4 of your specific hero. And so, yeah, damage dealers use this upgrade the best. Freerin number one. Sylphira is number two. Sylphira is also a top meta PvP damage dealer in the game right now. When you protect her with Ulna, she is basically able to kill almost any other team in the meta right now. And so Sylphira, you want to, if you're investing for PvP, you want to max refine her as high as you can. Gwyneth as well. Gwyneth is very similar to Freerin. Basically, what would be considered a regular faction, non-celestial Hypogean damage dealer, who is top tier meta. If you've invested in Gwyneth, if you're building over PvP, you want to max refine her as much as you possibly can. She is the third best hyper carry damage dealer in the game right now. These three are the big three: Freerin, Gwyneth, Sylphira. And what you're even noticing if you're looking at my recent Supreme Arena teams, the pay to win teams, they're using one Freerin team, one Sylphira team, one Gwyneth team, because these are the top three meta damage dealers that you build teams around. And for Supreme League, you're definitely going to be using these three, as well as you'll have to add on two others, unfortunately. And this is where it becomes a bit awkward. After Gwyneth, these heroes are still what I would consider the top tier meta. However, they're not as good as these top three. So Marcel is number 4. Marcel used to be one of the best damage dealers in PvP, but now we have 3 new additions to the game, right? At one point, Marcel was the number 1 spot, but now this is how power creep works in AFK Journey. Marcel has still a great damage output, especially if she can get off her ultimate, but she has survival issues that like heroes like Freerin doesn't have. And she's ultimate dependent, which Gwyneth doesn't have that problem, and she basically doesn't have the damage output of these other 3 heroes. But Marcel still is the 4th best damage dealer hyper carry in the game, in my opinion. So if you have her invested to Paragon, you should also invest Slumber Essence into her. And now Saida, you might be really confused about this Saida placement. Now the reason is, Saida, actually, I believe firmly, she is the 5th best hyper carry damage dealer in the game right now. If you want to build 5 strongest teams for Supreme League, I think it is these 5. You build a team around each one of these 5, and that's why I put her in the number 5 spot. Because Saida, after she gets her 3 ultimates, she has serious kill potential against a multitude of enemy teams, and if you have enough protection for her or cycling of ultimates, you're able to actually get her to do this pretty consistently. So I think that Saida definitely has a place in the top 5 hyper carry damage dealers, and that is why she is also in the high tier as a 5th option. And now I put Perseus, because Perseus, I believed before I did more testing with Saida, I thought Perseus was the 5th best hyper carry damage dealer in the current meta. He is good, but like honestly, there are a bunch of problems. Number one, you don't have Ulna free for him, because you're going to be using Ulna with Sylphira if you have Sylphira built. Now, if you don't have Sylphira, then yes, you can pick these 5, and Perseus can be basically your Ulna target. If you don't run Ulna with Perseus, I mean, a lot of the strong comps right now will just run him down, because even though he has damage output fat and like right out of the gate, he doesn't have the greatest survival, and he's going to get killed by these other top tier damage dealers, just unfortunately. but he is the number 6 spot. So these are all the high tier. These are the heroes that if you have them built, you want to max invest them. It doesn't mean you take them all the way to level 4, for example. Maybe you just don't have enough resources and you only get them up to level 2. Like, for example, my viewer from the VN server, he has Paragon 4 Perseus, but he just took Perseus to level 2. It doesn't necessarily mean you take, well, definitely these first 3 you should take right to level 4. But these other heroes, if you have limited resources, level 2 is fine as well. This priority tier list is more about who you should be allocating to rather than what level you should be allocating them to. The level you allocate them to will be based on a multitude of factors, like how many different other meta heroes you have, as well as how many resources you have to begin with. But level 2 is a good breakpoint for any hero, basically. So if you're going to invest into your hero, level 2 should be like a minimum, and level 4 is for those really top tier heroes. Okay, moving on to the mid tier. So the mid tier are also going to be meta damage dealers for PvP. However, they're not on the tier of the high tier heroes. They're not the hyper carriers, which are going to carry you as hard as the heroes in the high tier, and that is why I did the mid tier. Basically, and this is what I've done on my account. I've picked my 5 strongest hyper carries, which are the first 5 here. I've gone them all up to the 4th level of refinement. Now, with my leftover resources, I wish I did this, but I kind of messed up. I allocated to supports and things, which I think are now low priority. But I should have allocated into some of these other heroes, which I use in my Supreme League or Supreme Arena comps. It would have been better off for me. Anyway, we now have Athalia. So Athalia is falling off a bit. Athalia, basically, the new and improved Athalia is Sylphira. Sylphira is way better than Athalia in every way. However, Athalia, she still has some kill potential. She can be running comps. If you have her invested in Paragon upgrade and you're limited on other options, you're still going to be using Athalia. And so that's why she's still definitely top of the mid tier in terms of priority for upgrading. And depending on your account, you may want to upgrade her level 2. Level 4 is a little bit of an ask, especially if you have some of these other meta heroes, but level 2. Siren, also, he's a meta hero for PvP. You're bound to be using him in one of your comps, generally speaking. And if you use him, definitely getting a refinement is good. You can stop at level 2 for him, though. Like, again, there are a lot of heroes here which they're not going to carry the hardest, and so like level 4 it feels like a little bit of a waste, because like if you level 4 a hero, basically you want that hero to win you that fight. Fury and Grinnis, Sylphira, yes, they will win you that fight when you level 4 them. So, like, it's no question to be investing into them. These other heroes, Perseus, Marcel, Saida, Siren, Athalia, like, I mean, they're still top tier. But, like, I personally, if you had limited resources, level 2 is probably the spot for them. Shimira, Bonnie. So Shimira is, like, not the best hyper carry by any means. However, a lot of people have her Paragon 4 upgraded. And then you will want to make use of her definitely in Supreme League, and sometimes even in Supreme Arena. So you can invest a bit into her, like level 2. Bonnie as well, like if you're running a Bonnie damage over time comp, her damage output is the top of your damage chart at the end of the battle. And those are the heroes which are topping the damage chart. Those are the heroes you want to invest into, because this investment in Slumber Essence is going to boost their damage output. So you want damage dealers, the top damage contributors, to be getting this boost. So Bonnie can be a good option. Lily May, Ravion, Lily May and Ravion, they both, in my opinion, they're more of like the utility of your team rather than the dedicated hyper carry. And for that reason, level 2 is probably where I would stop with them until you have plenty of resources. Of course, level 4 can be nice on them, but like they're not going to win you that fight. They're more going to support you. And so I feel like the accessory and supportive heroes, level 2 is kind of like a nice spot. But yeah, the Ravion and Lily May are still solid for PvP, definitely, and they have their damage output, so they're worth investing into. Same for Alicent Kulu. Alicent Kulu are basically, in my opinion, the pay-to-win versions of like Lily May, Ravion. They're like utility options for your team. They also come with damage output, and pretty decent damage output. Alicent Kulu, they actually have pretty decent damage numbers. Not as much as your hyper carries, of course, and that's why they're lower priority, and you can even make do with them at no refinement for a long time. Like I have both Kulu and Alicent unrefined. I would like to rearrange if I had the resources to do that, but I've kind of like messed up, and I have no EX reset tickets left. I haven't messed up to a great degree, and also keep in mind, guys, if you did invest into some of your supports, level 2 refinement, they are still a priority. They're just on the lower side compared to the damage dealers. It's just a bit more optimal to have the damage dealing heroes refined compared to your supports. We have Celise. So Celise is the one support I put in mid tier, because Celise also comes with damage output. And overall, she's just a really solid hero for PvP. So I do think Sleaze is a priority to invest, and you can even get her to level 4, but level 2 for a beginning. Cry Knight Tossie, I put Cry Knight Tossie together. They're basically ultimate-based nuking damage dealers, but they both have major flaws. Cry Knight is blown up by true damage, even within her frozen domain, and that is a major issue for her. Tossie, she gets blown up by just high damage output. Like, Freerin and Gwyneth are just going to run down Tossie sometimes. But like, if you are using them as your hyper carry of choice, you don't have the latest hyper carries, you will have to invest into them. And Slumber Essence is going to be a good option into them if these are in your best teams as your damage dealers. Baylor and Sylvan I put right at the end. So Baylor and Sylvan, again, these are not top tier hyper carry damage dealers for PvP. However, if you're limited on options, if you have these heroes upgraded, you can make them work in PvP. Basically, though, how I consider it is Gwyneth is basically an improved version of Sylvan in each and every way. She's not ultimate dependent like Sylvan is. And so, like, if you're running a Lightbearer comp, if you're running a comp where Sylvan would fit, it's just better to run Gwyneth. And so that's basically the problem with Sylvan. But if you don't have Gwyneth, if you want to make Sylvan work, he can still work in PvP. He's not the worst thing in the world. And so that's the same thing with Baelran. Baelran, I think, gets destroyed and countered by the vitality debuffs we have from Freerin and Gwyneth, where the top tier meta is running around. And also, he just gets destroyed by even hard hitting damage, like whether it be Sulfura, whether it be Perseus running him down. So Baelran has a lot of problems. But if you're going to run him in PvP as your carry for your team, then yes, you can upgrade his exclusive refine his exclusive equipment with Slumber Essence. Okay, moving on to the low priority. So low priority, first of all, we have don't get me wrong, this is not a tier list on meta PvP heroes. Definitely not. This is a Slumber Essence allocation tier list, which means that even though Gunner, Contest, All Night Dunlinger, these 4 are the top tier meta PvP heroes in the game, along with your damages in the high tier, the reason we put them in low tier is their tanks or their supports. Now, tanks and supports, they get limited value when you upgrade or refine their exclusive equipment, because they're not going to get basically much value out of the damage boosting part, right? When you're boosting their damage. And that is going to be a big portion of your basically refinement. Now, these heroes still are going to be good to refine, definitely. And depending on your resources and what you're using in your comps, like I refine all 4 of them, and Contest and Gunner even maximum to level 4, and I don't regret it at all. I think that is a really good allocation. However, if we want to be completely, like, you have to think about what is the trade-off. Is it better for your team to have like a Alicent Kulu upgraded or a Gunner upgraded? Honestly, I feel like probably Alicent the Kulu. But the thing is, Alicent the Kulu are not as dominant meta as a hero like Gunner and Contest. So that is why, like, if you're just going for the dominant meta of PvP, just refining those heroes, Gunner Contest is the way. But if you're going for your specific team comp, what's actually going to bring you the most value, it may be Alicent Kulu in that situation, right? Basically, what I'm saying is, even though there's low priority, these are still going to be the top meta PvP heroes, and eventually you will want to refine them. And level 2 is a nice spot for them. Level 4 is overkill, probably, honestly speaking, for majority of people. Level 2 is more than enough, and even they can work at level 0, is basically what I'm saying. Himmel, we also have here. Now, Himmel is a really awkward case. He himself, you don't care really about the refinement, but because he boosts Freerin in a lot of comps, and you're probably running him with Freerin, refining his exclusive equipment can benefit you in that angle, especially if you get him to the level 2. It gives him some damage reduction, potentially allowing him to survive better for that initial 5 seconds to power up your Freerin. That is basically the strat that you can try to run. So yeah, Himmel I've also put in the low tier. Mihira I put in the low tier because Mihira's damage in PvP is very low. And if you're refining her exclusive equipment, it's mainly for the damage output. And the damage out, because her damage output is so low, it's not worth it. Like the heroes up here, I put because they have Alicent Kulu will heavily outdamage a Mihira in a comp. All 3 are like accessory supportive type units in a comp, but these heroes actually have kill potential. Mihira doesn't really. Mihira is just a supportive hero, and that's why she's low. Fresto, now we have some tanks. Now these are meta PvP tanks. Don't get me wrong. See, everything in the low tier, pretty much for the most part, are still meta PvP heroes. But I put them in the low tier because they're not going to bring you that much value by refining them. Like, it is very limited value. Fresto, Theodore, Callan, Damon. Now, and even Hepler, they're all meta tanks. Refining them, like, up to level 2 potentially. Going to give them some minor damage reduction when they go below 60% health. Is that going to change how the fight plays out? No, it really isn't. The thing that is going to change the fight is how invested you have your main hyper carries, number 1. And that's why they're in the high tier. Then, number 2, how invested you have your sub hyper carries, your sub DPS. And then it will come down to, okay, if you have all of that covered, then what is your tank investment looking like? That's my opinion. And that's why I put them in the low tier. Like, because they're going to function just fine at level 0. And the other thing about this is that you don't necessarily need to rush these heroes to plus 25. Get your other heroes, their main DPS and sub DPS, to plus 25 and give them some refinement. These heroes can sit up plus 10. They can sit up plus or whatever, plus 20. They don't need to, it's not a major priority. Then you have your support. So Twins, Hugin, Ludovic, Nero, Rowan, Pandora, and Lorison. You might be thinking, why is Lorison here? So we'll talk about Lorison probably individually. The other supports, so the support level 2 skill we first thought was really powerful because it gives like a healing and a shield, like 160% attack multiplier, which is like a 15% health and shield basically to an ally when they drop below 40% health. But from my testing, it seems it only procs once per battle onto one ally. It doesn't proc onto every ally. It's not like every ally is getting the benefit of this. And if it's only proccing onto one ally, honestly, guys, it's not changing much. It honestly is just not changing much over the course of a fight. And so, like, getting these to level 2 just for that minor level 2 skill, which doesn't really impact much, and, like, the damage boost for these supports is basically useless, it's just not worth it. And that's why, if I had to do things over again, I have the Twins, I have the Hugin at level 2 refinement. I even have Callan level 2 refinement. I have even, unfortunately, Lorison, which I'm going to come to at level 2 refinement. Now, I really wish, you know, rather than doing that, I would have invested into some of my sub DPS, like Alicet, like Kulu. I have Sleece at level 2, maybe even taking it to level 4. You know, things like this, because I'm definitely using these two, Alicet, Kulu, even Ravion I'm going to be using. So having these heroes invested, I have them at level 0, by the way. And I have level 2 on some of these other heroes. It's not the most optimal thing. It's not going to change much, honestly, because your hyper carries are the main focus. As long as you have these covered, these other things don't matter that much. But what I'm saying is, rather than giving it to the supports, it would have been better used on the mid tier. That's why I'm making this tier list. And we live and we learn. I made what can be considered a mistake in my opinion right now, but it's not going to be a game-changing mistake. As long as you have your hyper carries covered, you're good to go, right? That's the major part of your team. There's other part, just minor optimizations. Now, Lorison, why did I invest into Lorison? Why did I put him here? So actually, Lorison, I don't necessarily think he's the worst hero. And I'm running him, planning to run him with Marcel, my nuking comp, basically, like, and having that chain, you know, allows your nuking to be a bit more effective. It comes with some healing as well. And his damage output is not terrible either. He's one of those supports like Sleece. Obviously, it's not fair to compare Lorison to Sleece. Sleece is better, definitely. But Lorison is like that in the fact that he also has damage output as a support. And so giving him the damage boost from the refinement, maybe not the worst thing in the world, but yeah, I have him refined, and I probably will be resetting him next time I get a reset ticket. I'll probably be resetting Hugin and my maybe I don't know about Callan, because yeah, but Hugin Twin, I don't know, but I probably will be resetting Hugin and Lorison, honestly. Okay, and then we have just 3 other heroes. So just to make things very clear, people are wondering, should you enhance, refine the exclusive equipment of Satrana? No, not in my opinion. Satrana hardly deals any damage. She's there for her debuff. She's not like Bonnie. When you look at the damage chart at the end of the match, the hero which is outputting the most damage, that is the hero you want to refine, because you want to boost that hero's damage. Boosting Satrana's damage is hardly going to do anything. She herself is not contributing that much damage. The Bonnie in the comp is contributing the damage, if you look at the damage chart at the end. And also, like, investing Satrana to plus 25 exclusive equipment anyway to begin with is kind of crazy. Like, that's it's too much resources. Now, Galad's a hero you already have a plus 25. You're using it in Dream Realm, so people are running, should you refine her? I don't think so. Like, just refining for Dream, like with the Slumber Essence for Dream Realm, I don't think it's worth it. If you're using her at all in PvP though, in one of your teams, then definitely she goes up to mid tier, and I would place her in mid tier around this Tossie level if you're using her in PvP. But most people are not using her in PvP, and if you're not, it's better to not make her a major priority. And even if you are using her in PvP, leave her at level 2. Don't go beyond that. That's kind of crazy, because Galahad is just not a top tier meta damage dealer. Okay, then we have yeah, Zandrok. Zandrok is a solid support hero. Basically tech, not a support. He's a warrior, but he's a tech. He's an accessory hero for your team to buff up your team, break Hulu boulders and break map terrain and things like that. So Zandrok, he's a solid hero, but just plus 10 exclusive equipment, no refinement needed, no Slumber Essence investment needed. He is not a damage of your team. He's the accessory unit without even that sub DPS role. So anyway, guys, hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully explains things a little bit better. These are my current feelings and opinions, and this potentially my opinions will change as time goes on. And it has changed since my initial Slumber Essence priority tier list. Now, the only thing which has remained pretty much the same are the heroes. The heroes I put on my first initial OG Slumber Essence tier list, and also this one, all the heroes have been the same. But basically now, after more testing and more understanding, I feel like the tanks and the supports are the lowest priority to be upgrading. Your major hypercarries, meta hypercarries are top priority of upgrading, which I already mentioned. This was already mentioned in the Slumber Essence priority tier list. But basically, the mid level is going to be your sub DPS accessory heroes, which are going to be a higher priority to invest compared to your tanks and supports. So that's basically the only additional finding in the sorting. So hopefully this video is helpful. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below. If you feel there's any hero I missed, feel free to share that in the comment section and which tier you would put them in. And if you think any hero belongs in a different tier, let me know as well. Feel free to share that in the comment section. I know some people are going to be maybe think I'm crazy to be putting the top 4 meta Celestial Hypergene and PvP heroes in the low tier, but it is to prove a point that tanks and supports are not the highest priority to be upgrading in your exclusive equipment refinement. Your major DPS and sub DPS are going to give you more return on investment compared to these heroes. However, you also have to factor in how much you use the hero. Like, and if you want to like max out your regular arena team and things like that, then of course these Celestial Hypergeans become a bigger priority. You're not going to be running any of these random sub DPS heroes in your regular arena team when there's only one team slot, but you're going to be running all 4 of these. So that's basically why a lot of the high spenders have heavily invested into these 4. And of course it's worth it, but like, is it worth more than investing into your sub DPS? That's the question. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you all so much for watching. That is going to be it for this video. And if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight store. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. My affiliate link is in the description of this video and a pinned comment, and you can actually bookmark this link in your browser, and whenever you're planning to make a purchase, just return to the bookmark link and make your purchase. It will support me and be greatly appreciated. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.